So 2020 was pretty great. I got a lot done this year, and in an effort to make some last second low quality content, I thought it'd be good to look back and do a quick recap. To start the year, I finally finished and released my first real game last week. That's the name of the game, not when I did it. Honestly, it was a terrible choice of name, and you have no chance of finding it in a YouTube search. Once I was done with that, and still shockingly unemployable, I spent a lot of my time practicing animation way more seriously, and I finally leveled up from being complete garbage to almost half decent. This got me back into uploading on Imager, and I was lucky enough to reach the front page twice. Must have been a slow day or something, I don't know. I also returned to YouTube finally after not uploading for 5 years, and lost a ton of subs with my first few uploads, and then found that most of my remaining subs were dead accounts. But despite only getting a solid 5 views per video, I genuinely enjoyed making stuff this time around. Before I quit making content 5 years ago, I used to do a lot of animations for bigger channels such as the Yogscast or Revel Mode, and even though they got insane views, I was working on the most boring low quality stuff, trying to meet super rush deadlines and working with some questionable people to say the least. This time around I decided to kick it off with a game dev series for last week, which was originally going to be 5 episodes around 10 minutes each, just quickly glossing over my thought process on each step of development. But since I hadn't made any content in a long time and hate recording myself, I instead invited my buddy to record with me, even though he had nothing to do with actually making the game. And then somehow it turned into 4.5 hours worth of podcasts about Kevin Spacey, Troll Dolls and Johnny Five. But hey, the 2 people who watched that series loved it, and it was super fun to record and edit. We had visual gags for, so I don't have any complaints. After I was completely done with last week, I was missing game development, so I entered my very first game jam, and I made a truly awful game that I won't share here. You know it's bad when I won't even show it on this channel. This channel is like 90% trash, but this game is too bad for this channel. I do really recommend game jams to anyone that's interested though. I had a great time and met some fantastic people that I made no effort to ever see again because I'm an asshole, but it was a good time all around. Somehow all of this combined led to me getting a job working at a real video game studio. I'm as shocked as you are. And as much as I like doxing myself, I won't say which studio or what game I got to work on, but it's a pretty cool franchise, so I was pretty lucky they hired me. To prepare for this job, I made a quick animation with the Splatoon characters, to practice a model swapping technique that was going to be used a lot in the game we were making. But I have to say that so far it's been the best job I've ever had. It feels like I've got a lot of creative say and that I get to work with a fun group of guys. And the game we worked on actually got published and even won an award, so that's nice. Even though I now had a job eating up most of my free time, I used my weekends to start the Friend Jam, or as it quickly turned into, the Just Me Jam. I came up with a huge list of game ideas, which I hope to slowly work through as short projects for this channel, but the first one I chose to work on was Snaps. Even though the whole point was to create a game in just 48 hours, I immediately failed and took twice as long as that, and the final game was still super basic. But I felt it was a pretty interesting concept, and I'm tempted to expand upon it and turn it into a real game at some point. But for the version I put out, I turned it into a little contest and got almost no views on YouTube, but a ton on Imager, which is lucky because I'd have only gotten 3 windmill shots instead of 50 otherwise. Once I had enough entries, I spent the day making the award show, showing off people's pictures, and it was a ton of fun to edit together and totally rob Aramenko of his victory even though he clearly had the best photo. Doing this interactive sort of thing with the viewers and seeing the really weird stuff you guys sent in was hilarious. Hopefully we can do more of this sort of thing in the future if we get more people watching this trash heap of a channel and willing to join in. For November's video, I started to work on the next game from the Friend Jam list. Instead of aiming for just 48 hours, this time I decided to spend a few weeks in the game. Try and make it less garbage. And so it should feature some, amazing new things that Snaps was missing, such as audio and menus. I know, it's almost like a real game. And I got the game finished in no time, except for one tiny part of the online multiplayer which didn't quite work right. So I ended up spending weeks trying to fix that and didn't upload that month at all. It should be working now though, so I expect to download some videos about it soon. I also found an old animation that I made years ago but never finished due to having no audio, so I'm tempted to add sound to that and maybe upload that. So you have a really old crappy animation to look forward to. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see how desperate I get for content. What else? I used Duolingo every day this year and learned that it's not a very good way to learn a language. I started eating these things called vegetables. It turns out they're pretty gross, I really don't recommend them. Oh yeah, and it's like some kind of pandemic and riots and stuff, I don't know. I was sat at home the whole time, kind of missed it honestly. But yeah, it was a pretty great year. I assume it was great for everyone else too, right?